Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome back. If you are new, welcome. Thanks for clicking on my channel. My name is Jacqueline, and in this on this channel I make quilts. And today in this video I'm going to show you how to make a Santa Claus, well, a Santa block. This is a block. This is a pattern that I purchased online. It's a PDF pattern that I purchased online. I think it was about $10. And the online shop is called Nanny Goat Quilt. And this is what the pattern looks like. And I am going to show you how to, I'm going to show you how I lay the fabrics out on the board. Okay. Okay, so here's a board. And what I did was I just pre-cut, rough cut my fabric pieces out. Just rough cut them out. Okay, so with this board, okay, so I'm gonna just take my pieces and I'm gonna lay each color over the correct shape. So this is his beard. You can see that. Yeah. So then I just rough cut piece of fabric, and then I'm just gonna cover up the shape like that. And you want your fabric pieces to be a little big so that you can cut around them. Let's see. Let's use this side. So this is just rough cut, and just lay our pieces down, and then okay, and I'm gonna lay my pieces right side up, and so all of these pieces over here are going to be white, which is the background. And what I usually do when I have a die made, I have them kind of group the colors together on the board, if possible. So, for example, all these shapes over here are the background. And so I know they're going to all be white. And so I can just lay one piece over the shapes. This is going to be the part of his hat. Okay, put that there. This is going to be his beard. Put that there. And this is going to be his face. This is going to be the face. We're only going to make one block for now. And then this is going to be the side of his beard. Okay. And then, let's see. This is going to be his clothing. This is going to be his clothing. And I'm just using some scrap pieces that I cut out. And actually we're going to need two pieces because it's going to be mirror image. So, no, actually I only need one. So we're going to put that there. And then we're going to cover up. This is going to be his hat. Okay? Alright. Alright. Let's see. I am so new at this, guys, so bear with me. Okay. So this is what my die board looks like. So what I did was I took all my fabric choices and I just laid them over the shape. I laid them over the shape. So, like right here, this is what he's going to look like. So, this is the top of his hat. That's going to be the brim. That's going to be the face with the eyeballs. And then this is the background. All the white is the background. And this is part of his coat right here. And this is his coat. These two pieces here are supposed to be red. So I made a mistake in this block. That should be red. And that should be red. But we're going to remake this block. So that's what we're going to make. And like I said, with the studio die, which is what this is, I could lay 10 fabrics on here and run it through the machine, cut out 10 centers at one time. But today we're only going to make 1 center. So I've covered all my pieces. Okay. Oh, and then these are going to be the eyeballs. But I've already cut out the eyeballs, little black pieces, and these are already cut out. And I got like webbing on the back so that we can glue them down. Now I have a different die that I use to cut out the eyeballs. I'm not going to show you that, but I have another die that cuts out circles, and so that's how I cut out the 2 eyeballs. And then this is going to be the little ball on the end of his cap. And so again, I use a different die to cut these pieces out. Okay, so set those aside. Now I'm going to show you the machine. So let me move this out the way because my table is crowded, and I'll show you what the machine looks like. All right. Okay. Here is, it's heavy. This is a studio cutter made by Accuquilt. And this is about 80 pounds. It's heavy, guys. So this is what it looks like. I've showed this in other videos of mine. This is what the, this is a studio die. I don't know if you can see it right here. Made by Accuquilt. But anyhow, this is what you need to cut out the studio dies. You need a studio cutter to cut studio dies, because studio dies are really thick and really heavy. And you can cut 10 layers. So, you pull down the arms, leg, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's put this on the table. All right, it's heavy. Okay. Now, we also need what's called a tray. Okay, this is a tray. And this is what the die is going to sit in. Okay, so let's sit the, let's see. Put it, I don't want to cut myself. Okay, so here's our die. Okay, and we're going to sit it in the tray. Okay, so this is what we got here. We got a tray, and we got our die inside the tray. Now we also need this. This is a plastic that goes on top of the die. This is what makes the pieces get cut. This, when the cutter presses down onto this, it cuts out the shapes. So you need 3 things, well, 4 things. You need your studio cutter, you need your die board, you need your tray, and then you need your plastic. I'm just going to lay this on here like this. And then my table is not very wide. So we're going to put this right through here. Okay, I need more room. Alright, so you want to cut out 1 layer. Okay. And so this is a hand crank. So once you lay your die on here, you want to run it through. And because I'm only cutting out 1 piece of fabric, it runs through real smoothly. And this is a brand new die. Now if I had 10 layers stacked, it would be a little stiffer to turn, but you can turn it because it can cut up to 10 pieces of fabric at one time. But we're only going to do 1 in this video. So we just crank it, comes on the other side. Now let me move the cutter, and then I'll show you what the pieces look like. Let's get this out the way. That is heavy. Okay, here we are. Alright, so I kind of do this, kind of rub it so my pieces don't stick to the plastic. Okay, and take this off. See that right there. Now, let's grab a design board. Okay, so this is a design board. It's just batting on some foam board. We're going to use that in a second. So now what we're going to do is, well, what I am going to do is to take off all the straps. Can you see me? Let's see. All right, so we're going to pull off the extra. I want to keep these on so they look pretty. The straps. Let's put this back. Sometimes you'll have a little thread that doesn't cut, but you can just do it by hand. Okay. Oh, let's uncover this, and we're gonna cover this. I think my fabric was a little short. I may have to cut that again. And cut that off. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of that. I'll get rid of all of this. That. So we're just getting rid of all the straps. Okay. I think that's it. All right. So this is strapped here. Okay. And here are our pieces all cut. All right, and here are our pieces all cut. Now, I'm going to show you what it's going to look like. Can you see this? Yeah. Okay, so let's hold this down, let's hold this up. So, this is what the block looks like. Okay, so I'm going to lay my pieces on a design board. So we're going to start with, let's see, whoops, piece here, and this is a white piece, okay, and we're going to put our hat, and here's our hat, there, and we got a green piece here. Let's see. This is there. And we're gonna piece down here. So what I'm doing now is just laying all the pieces out on the design board. And then piece. Okay, right here. Piece there. So we're gonna just lay out our pieces on our design board. Alright, I'm gonna lay a piece. Okay, so a piece right here, and then oops, we're going to add our beard. I don't know how I'm doing this upside down. We're going to add a beard. Okay, then we're going to piece here, piece there, and we're going to put in our face, and then we're going to add our gray pieces onto the side, right there. And then we're gonna put white. We'll just put that there, that there, this one here, and then we are. Let's see. I'm gonna put a piece here. Like that. Okay. Then we're gonna put and symbol our hat here. Then we're gonna piece there, and then we're gonna put a piece right here, and then let's see. Okay. Yeah, so a piece right. Okay, so now I'm gonna lay my sewn pieces onto my design board, and I finger press. I don't iron right away or press. I just finger press, and if you finger press on your design board, your pieces will lay flat. Okay, so we're gonna put this right here. So what I'm doing is I'm laying out my pieces. Trying to, okay. Trying to adjust the camera. Okay, so I'm going to lay out my pieces on the design board like that. Okay. Then we're going to take our beard. Put that there. We're going to put our sides on. So what we're doing right now is we're putting together his coat or his jacket. Okay. And then we're going to put, let's see. Oh. And I'm going to, actually let me sew another piece on here. So we're going to add another piece to the side. Okay, so I'm just adding a rectangle to the side of his face. Alright, so this is the side of his face. So we're gonna, actually this one that goes up there. This piece goes right here. Okay, long piece. This one goes right here. Okay, there we go. That's his hat. So we're gonna lay this down. And we're gonna put his face right here. Okay. Yeah, top of his face, we're gonna put, so we got his face, we got the sides, and then we're gonna put the brim of his hat. That's gonna go there. And then we're gonna build the side of his hat. Yeah. And look how good that piece looks. See how perfectly they're cut? Perfect 1/4" seam. Just open it up, finger press it, put that right here. And then here's the side of his hat. So that's how it's going to be looking. Okay. All right, so let's sew his hat together. Let's sew his hat. So down here. All right, I'm gonna sew the rest of his hat. I think it's called a hat cap, a Santa cap. Yeah. So I'm gonna match these pieces up. And we're gonna I'm also going to sew. No, I can't sew those pieces yet. Okay, so let's cut my fabric. And then I'm going to sew. Let's see. Okay. So just finger press. See how those pieces look? Look at the edges. Everything line up. Perfectly cut with the die. Look at that. Look at the back. Beautiful. Okay, so then we're going to add the right side of his. Let's see, is it the... Oh, yep, no, we're going to add this piece to here. Okay. This is going to be the right side of his cap. See how those pieces line up? Now I sew with the triangle on top. All right. Okay. Trim that. All right. Got that sewn. This is the right side of his cap. This is what that look like. And then we're gonna put it on like that. It's gonna go like this. And that's where the little ball on his cap is gonna go on the end. It's gonna go like that. Okay, so let's sew this on here. Again, my pieces are matching up perfectly because I die cut the pieces. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. And then here is the top of our cap. Look at that. That is perfect. Perfect, guys. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so that's the top of his cap. All right. So then we're going to take part of his, the other part of his cap, the brim, I think it's called, and we're going to sew that like that. Okay, let's do that. This is real easy sewing. It's just rectangles and squares and triangles. Make sure my pieces are lined up. And I'm using a diagonal seam tape I have on my sewing machine to help me line my pieces up to get that 1/4 inch seam. I have I think it's called a diagonal tape, and that's what I have on my sewing machine. Trying to line that up. All right. So now we got that on. Okay. We got the brim of his cap. Okay, so now we're going to sew on his base. We're going to sew his face on. And I want to make sure my seams are flat, and they are. my seams underneath. I'm making sure that they're flat so that my block lays flat. Got my pieces laying flat here. Pieces are laying flat like that. Okay, and just open that out. That's his face. And once I put his eyes on, you'll be able to see that. Now you don't have to put eyes on your center if you don't want to, but it looks more like a center if you put his eyes on. Okay. All right. Now let's sew the rest of his body together. We got 3 pieces. I'm going to sew together, not his body, but his coat, okay? And let's sew this one on first. And then we're done with this block. Okay. I would speed the video up on this piece, but I want you guys to see what I'm doing. Especially if you don't have the pattern. I want you to be able to see how to piece the pieces together if you don't have a pattern. And also because I pre-cut these pieces, I think it's nice that you see how they all come together. And as you notice, I have not used a rotary cutter or a cutting mat for this block. And we're going to sew our left side. Okay. Let's see. You want to make sure you line up correctly. No room for error. All right. Once I start sewing, then I stretch my pieces to the end. Thought my finger was in there. All right. Look at that. Perfect. And there we go. No, it goes like this. Look at that. Look at that. And now we're just going to put them together. Last piece. Last piece. Alright, so I want to make sure my seams are going one way. Okay. And there are no pieces to line up. None of the pieces, I don't think, has to line up with each other. Bring that down. Went off a little bit, not quite a 1/4 inch on the end, but that's okay. All right, guys, we are done. Look at that. Look at that. We are done. We have 4 sections to this block, okay? We've got his coat with his beard, the top of his coat with the beard. We got his face. We got the rim of his cap, and then we got his cap, okay? And then, like I mentioned earlier, I have a die that I use to cut out the circles, and I picked this size. I'm not sure what size this is, but this is the size circle I picked out for his eyes, and I just go there. And then for his hat, the little ball, I cut out a bigger circle, and that just goes right there. And so that's what it's going to look like. Let's press this block. I'm going to go press it, and I'll be right back. Okay, I got my block all pressed, and this is what it looks like. Here's my block all pressed. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Now, you can leave it like this, or if you want, you could put his eyes on. I put eyes on my Santa just because he's supposed to have eyes. And so you can just space them out however way you want them. You can put them not too close. Okay. Then and then you can put his little ball on his hat. And then like that. Like that. Okay. So let's take the paper off of here. We got some adhesive on the back. And so that's going to help it stick. Now if you want, you can use a ruler to make sure your eyes are lined up. I don't. I just kind of eyeball. Just kind of make it kind of even. And then we'll do the ball on his cap. You don't have to put a ball on the end of his cap. You can. You can use a real little ball if you want, or you can just do like I did and just use a piece of fabric. In the pattern, she used an actual ball, like a little bell, not a ball, a bell. I'm just going to use a circle. Okay, we're going to put this on our little small pressing mat. Okay, here we are. Got this small little pressing board right here. Okay, and I got another mini iron, and I'm just going to press this cap, little bell down. This cap. Just hold it on there. And just hold this onto his cap. Okay, and that presses his, and it's hot. And press it. And then we'll do his eyes. Use this little mini iron here. Just hold it down. Don't want to move it because you don't want to move his eyes. And with that adhesive, that's what helps it to stick in place. Okay, that should be good. Okay, this block is done. And the other thing is, you don't have to square this up either because it's already even. It's already even. There's no squaring up of this block. This block came out perfect, you guys. Absolutely, absolutely perfect. No rotary cutter, no mat. Like I said, I have an Etsy shop, and I'm gonna have this block in my Etsy shop, and I think I'm gonna make it 12 Santas, and 12 blocks in a kit. And so when you make your quilt, you have 12 Santas. Or if you want to make placemats, you can make placemats. Okay,